What are some creepy facts about human nature? Story 1. The call of the void. This occurs when humans are on high places, like rooftops or cliffs, and get the urge to jump. It's actually pretty common. Story 2. We're smart enough to make a perfect society, but too greedy to make it work. Story 3. On a recent date with a CSI, I learned that a lot of people die naked on or near the toilet. Apparently people get very hot and try to strip down when close to death.
Oh man. Those times my show was so intense I had to take my shirt off. Are you telling me I was closer to death during those moments?
Story 4. Most people that die due to hypothermia get naked before dying. This is because blood stops flowing to your extremities so you don't lose body heat. Just before death, the brain kinda gives out and allows blood flow to return to normal. This sends warm blood to your cold limbs, making you feel very hot and sweaty, so you strip. Before this was understood, people that had died of hypothermia were believed to have been sexually assaulted because they were fully naked. Story 5. The more people there are to witness a violent scene, such as seeing a homeless person begging, sexual aggression, fight, or even murder, the less people tend to intervene to stop it. It is called the bystander effect. The more people there are, the more they are inhibited to feel guilty in not acting towards the violent scene. Story 6. The eyes have a separate immune system than the rest of the body. If your body's immune system realizes your eyes exist, it'll attack the eyes and reject them from the body as it would a virus.
Fking what? Why?
Story 7. We do not have any undeniable way of proving that anything going on right now is real. This might all just be an illusion made by the mind. In the grand scheme of the universe, every event that led to this exact moment are all impossibly unlikely to happen, and comparatively, it's way more likely that the life we all see ourselves is a figment of a briefly lived consciousness in the endless nothingness of an empty space.
Have you ever heard of the Boltzmann brain theory? In an infinite universe, things can just pop into existence. What if everything around us just popped into existence 5 minutes ago? All your memories formed 5 minutes ago. The world as you know it didn't exist 6 minutes prior. It's wild to think about, but no one can disprove it.
Story 8. Some people play sick twisted games with other people's lives.
I knew a woman who is a sexual predator and preys on vulnerable people and apes and abuses them, and then gaslights them into admitting they were the apist and then gets a restraining order.
Story 9. Sociopaths just lack empathy. People who are normal have empathy, but they have all the traits of a sociopath too. In fact, our empathy can drive a normal person to commit horrible crimes. Properly motivated, our emotions can cause us to do things much worse than a sociopath. Kick someone's dog, their kid, punch their grandmother. Do those things and see people become something to fear. Story 10. We are all addicts, just to different things.
Gotta love the people who bark at people who smoke weed or things of the like, but can't go 2 hours without a caffeine enema. We're all addicts, some just picked some bad stuff to be addicted to. Hell, I've seen people put in the hospital cas they worked out so much and drank so much water they flushed their body of all potassium, and had a seizure. Even in taking care of yourself you can go overboard.
Story 11. After a back surgery, your organs might have been moved to perform certain parts of the surgery. The doctors don't move your organs back to their original place. This funny feeling you get after the surgery is your organs moving themselves back to their original place. Yes, they are capable of that. Story 12. If you happen to have a brain injury, there is a condition that makes you unable to recognize objects around you. Like, you will see a fork, the colors and the shape of it, but you can't know how to use it, if it's edible or not, etc. Pretty scary thing to imagine. Story 13. Nazi soldiers under Hitler's rule, the fact that regular citizens were brainwashed and or forced to do awful things and eventually got used to doing it. Gassing the Jewish, gay, crippled, etc. became just another Tuesday to them. Story 14. I remember reading that if you look at pictures of sick people, your immune system will automatically give itself a little boost just by looking at the pictures.
So the horrible pictures on the packs of cigarettes is actually the lobby helping us stay healthy.
Story 15. We possess the genes for regeneration similar to starfish and salamanders. They are on the same chromosome as the genes for scar tissue formation. However, they are not turned on, whereas the scar tissue genes are. So technically, we could pull a piccolo and regenerate limbs like a starfish. But we don't because it's way too metabolically demanding on energy. If we could do it, you'd likely shave years off of your life in exchange. Instead, we make scar tissue to reinforce the injured area. Story 16. We create weapons and kill other humans just because we disagree with each other.
And often, we don't kill the people we disagree with, but random other people.
Story 17. You only need 30 people in order to trigger mob mentality in order to control an entire crowd of anywhere upwards to 10,000 plus people blindly copying them.
Seen the video of the guy dancing at a festival? He's just busting some moves, having a good time. People watching, some chuckling, and he is just carrying on having a good time. After a bit somebody joins in. They keep going. Somebody else joins. Then somebody else, and another. Then there's this frickin' deluge of people and it's like a rave. Great to see, people just feeding on and adding to that energy.
Story 18. That pretty much everyone has the capacity for extreme evil given the right circumstances. Story 19. Less than 100 years from your death, no one will remember you.
Not if I eat the Mona Lisa.
Story 20. Learned memories. For example, people 100% sure they remember things which actually never happened but were told many times by media, memes or others. I observed this for a certain episode which happened less than 10 years ago and which everyone whom I asked witnessed themselves personally, but they all clearly remember it in a way it was presented in memes and jokes and not how they actually saw it happen. Story 21. There really is no profile of a person who falls victim to a cult. Anyone is susceptible. Cult members can come from any socioeconomic or educational background, any race, gender, religion. Story 22. We are one of the most violent things on earth, yet so social. We legit will help even our enemies when needed. It's creepy, because we will easily team up and go back to killing each other. Story 23. If you're bored enough you will begin to intentionally hurt yourself. Story 24. How one person can rule over millions of people. 100 million humans can fear one person collectively, and that person will remain in power for years until death. Once they die, that collective fear morphs into the worshipping of that evil person. Story 25. I don't know if this is fact, but apparently humans have an instinct to know when they are being stared at by someone. So when you feel like you're being looked at, you're probably right. If you've gotten this far and enjoying the content, please leave a comment of your own story. We'd love to make a video of them in the future. Story 26. One of my favorite aspects about human nature is how there are things in nature that we are the best at. Sure, we're not the fastest, strongest, or most agile. But out of everything in the animal kingdom, we can run the longest. Humans are adapted to do what very few animals can do, which is run for extended periods of time. Here's where it gets creepy. I saw it explained like this. Imagine you're a gazelle on the plains of Africa early on in human history. You see some hairless apes running towards you, but are they kind of slow. So your instincts kick in and you sprint away. Once they are out of sight you relax and go back to eating grass or whatever you're doing. But there they are again, running slowly towards you. How'd they figure out where you went? You don't know, you're a gazelle. So you sprint away again and think you're safe, again. Then, here come the hairless apes, slowly coming for you once again. You keep repeating this until you can't sprint anymore. You aren't adapted to continuously run long distances, but they are. Eventually you collapse and they get you. That's creepy to me. A slow-moving predator who somehow always finds you and chases you until you can't run anymore. Story 27. Risks during birth are abnormally high compared to other species. Because of our upright gait, mothers' narrow pelvis, and big heads, fetuses cannot fully gestate until being born. Humans have to be born prematurely while the head is still tiny and squishy. Otherwise, childbirth would not be survivable at all. Story 28. You don't need to have two eyes to have some depth perception. Close one eye and look at something close and then something far away. You can still tell which is closer, even if it's unfamiliar. That's because there's a feedback loop between your brain and the nerves that stretch your eye lens to focus images. Story 29. Your frontal cortex makes it breaks you via your decisions. It's where all the critical thinking goes through the manual computer of dopamine pathways. Ever wonder why decisions are so crazy in your dreams? Or why it makes a little too much sense in the moment? Frontal cortex is off during REM. Grandma didn't abandon having a filter with age. The decay of her frontal cortex is no longer preventing her from saying awful or embarrassing things. Bump your head in some kind of accident. Hope it wasn't the front, because if so your chances of committing crime just rose more than 100%. Story 30. You're not as perceptive to touch as you might like to think. particularly in areas like your back. I could poke you with 2 fingers inches apart and you'd think I only used 1 finger. Story 31. How some behaviors are so hardwired.
I, flamingo, when I wash dishes, just automatically stand on one leg. I don't know why, it's just more comfortable that way. I learned to wash dishes from my first stepmom in middle school, who found the habit extremely odd and discouraged it, yet it persisted. Even when working a fast food job in college, sometimes I'd get to concentrating on washing dishes too long and flamingo despite wearing shoes. Turns out my mother also flamingos while washing dishes, and so did her mother.
Story 32. Aphantasia. Almost 4% of people do not have visual imagination and cannot use the movies in the head effect at all. Their imagination works on either language, abstracts and raw emotions, or on imagining sounds and tactile input. Imagine how absolutely creepy and alien their thoughts must be to a regular fantasic person. Their minds work more like hyper-advanced ChatGPT than like those of other Homo sapiens. Story 33. I don't know what this is called, but this is when I realized that human beings are extremely selfish. And I was equally horrible and a part of this. I was in 2nd or 3rd grade, around 8 years old. So when school got over, it was the last day or something, and all the kids in my class, about 40 to 50 kids, ran out the door at the same time. One of the girls in my class fell over. Kids kept trampling over her, and some of us noticed that. But if we stopped to help her or bent down, we would also get trampled over. So we just ran and left. I still feel so bad about that. Thankfully nothing happened to her and she just scraped her knees and elbow. But I feel so bad about it till today. Story 34. If you were to see a lineup of all apists and their victims, you'd probably be looking at a family photo album. The media scenario of an apist in a dark alley following women in the dark is statistically almost fiction. Most apists are known to their victim and are in their immediate or extended family. Ape is often depicted as forceful, but the process is normally manipulative and deceitful over the long term and creates the illusion of consent. Also, a lot of apists are women, but the shame of ape and the fear of repercussions, the fear of bringing shame into a household, the fear of hurting the apist, etc., make ape underreported as a whole. While we'll never know the full picture, the little old lady you saw in the grocery store could be a child molester. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to Thread Talk for more content like this. Also, don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss out. Have a dope day and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers!